All right, folks. First thing that I want you guys to do today, I want you guys to take the next 5 minutes or so to there's a really short article in today's Florida that talks about captive breeding in zoo populations. I want you to read through that, and we're going to quickly talk about it and see how it relates back to kinship. So again, go to today's Florida, and then again you will see a link that takes you directly to this article that talks about captive populations in zoos. So take a quick second to read through that, and then here at about a little after the 9, we'll talk about it a little bit. See what you guys think. Then as you guys are reading that, I'll come around and sign you guys' papers.
You put 9. Why'd you put 9? It's a 4.
So if that link shows up as it's not working, just make sure you guys just click on the title and it'll take you directly to it.
Is that thing that's faster? Is it
Get off my phone.
What?
Mr. Meling, how much are you reading? All of it?
All of it.
It should look like this, right?
No.
Giraffe. Oh, no. Giraffe.
Yep. How's it going right now? Okay. Every day I wish.
Oh, that's
How's your You sleep there?
Yeah.
Something's a 1? Damn, Brady.
Where's Blue?
I don't think I can measure something as a 1. I just can't. Parlay something is 11. You guys are reading the article about squirrel. Isn't your mom going?
Yeah. My mom's going. My stepmom's going. You have to sign
Oh. You guys read the article?
Are you serious?
Mr. Meling, can you sign that paper?
Meling, you need to sign our paper.
I am. Want you coming around and reading this as you guys were.
No, we need to sign it. Yeah, can you just like force the rest of my teachers?
Oh, Michael's in his mouth. Michael's in his mouth.
Actually, what has to go
I'm kidding.
Why did not
I did that one time with help. I was just like,
Mr. Meling, I got a question. I go to my mom's class.
Mine.
Do I get her signature or shopping centers?
That's how mouse sister.
Oh my god, I was having
That lady's too nice. I was about to
Did she watch it too? Oh no, I was just my lightsaber.
No, Falcon as well.
Yes, that's full.
Okay, I'll get my phone down. Or not mine. It's nice. I just Copenhagen like zip. 2. the only problem is that it's too related to the other giraffes around. It makes business.
He said, I can do a bridge of nothing with a bouncy ball, and I said, thanks, honey.
Wait, what?
Mine's horrible. You should see mine.
Look at mine.
Your name's easy.
Louis is so.
Alright, got a couple more minutes here.
Louis, get this game so we can play against each other.
Yeah, I just took a picture of it. Just gonna say, just a picture of
We don't
it.
have to play against each other so we can play against each other. How do you switch players?
Oh my god, it's so annoying.
Okay, we'll do some leave one.
No, it looks like, it looks like, what was it, the squirrel? It looks like the squirrel from Isaac.
I thought you hold it down.
Hey, Meling,
Yes.
never mind.
Mine was being lit.
I wanted to go to the article and it's like restricted and over.
You should push me, mine was being lit.
Well, I know, but then like it said restricted and then I refresh it.
What are you finishing? Brady, can you play that?
Alright,
Okay.
so let's talk about
Alright.
No, I work with partners.
So, main principle behind that article is that this European zoo euthanized a giraffe calf.
In front of people.
Sometimes that does happen.
Well, there's a.
So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this?
I think we're just moving to another zoo.
Why?
I think all the way through the article.
Might be too expensive.
But it's,
That's it.
No, it didn't provide. It didn't provide. any-
That's it. Let's go.
The baby giraffe didn't provide nothing.
Didn't provide.
And provide
Yeah,
Well,
It didn't.
why do you let it grow up?
it didn't provide enough genetic diversity for its group. Kind of going back to what you guys were saying. Why would you guys just move it? They're dumb. Why are they dumb, Bree? Well, what's the second part you say about just keeping it?
So I guess.
But you're correct. So if we were going to keep this male giraffe, so what are some ways that we can prevent any further prevent any further lack of diversity in that specific population?
Breed with other giraffes. Like, make sure you get different that aren't the same.
Make sure you're talking about like bringing those different giraffes from different zoos. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But how are you going to prevent this male giraffe from breeding with other giraffes? Yeah, they can just fix it. What about so they can fix it? They can put all the females on contraceptives like birth control. That's a thing.
Birth control
Yeah.
for a giraffe?
Yeah,
Did I actually have that?
yeah. Oftentimes zoos will give a lot of their animals just implants that are good for a year, and then they'll come back in. If they have to sedate it, they'll sedate it. But why do you guys think that would be dangerous for a giraffe?
To what? To sedate it?
Yeah, to sedate it. Why would
Because it's so
you
big.
do that? Yeah, it's complications, and giraffes are just huge. So, if for those of you guys that work with livestock, you guys often see trouble with sedating livestock. We think, Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't really sedate our animals.
yeah. I mean, that's my point.
Takes a lot of drugs.
That's Jimmy.
That's my point. Yeah.
Jimmy's a big cow guy.
Because it's a big animal. So you know what?
More than,
Yeah,
there's more than
there's
necessary.
You're not ready?
Right. Right. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to get at here. So, kind of think about all this. That's just one specific thing. One specific scenario that kind of ties that all into together. So, if we were going to go back to what we talked about on Tuesday with Ralph and Janice, and then their offspring. So, that's the pedigree that you guys should have came up with. So if we're relating this back to relating this back to mean kinship, what do you guys notice about those numbers as they trickle down from Janice all the way down to Bledsoe? If you guys can see it. You guys don't
Get
see
higher.
that? They get higher. So this whole idea of mean kinship again refers to how closely related I am particularly to my entire population. So again, the lower the number, the more genetic diverse I am. The higher the number, that means I'm getting closer related to everybody else in my population. So now we're going to talk about how that is so important to keep this number as low as possible in captive population. So what I want you guys to do is go to Schoology and then go to our penguin set data.
That's a big chart thing.
Well, it's the units that we've been running. So it's the Google ones. We'll kind of walk through this together. So that's in this week's folder. Correct. Technically, I'm going to go back and submit all these for you guys really quick.
Oh, so it isn't penguin units slide set.
Is it in Thursday?
No, it is that.
We unsubmitted ourselves. You just want to submit it?
If you guys can you though?
Yeah, it says unsubmitted.
Okay, well then yeah, do it. I'm joking, I do it. Okay, so then once you guys have access to this, I want you to go to it's essentially the last section before those tutor slides where you guys have access to videos where you can go back in and reflect on if you have any further questions about mean kinship, pedigrees, or that whole idea of how we use stud books. There's a couple different videos you guys can go back and refer to there. So as we work through these, I'm going to kind of walk through a good chunk of it with you guys, and then I'll kind of then I'll give you guys the rest of the class to work on it, and then you guys have a very small amount of homework to do. Correct. So and then again, once you guys open it up, go to section 3 where it says mean kinship. So again, this whole week we've been talking a lot about how we can find different ways to enhance our genetic diversity and form these successful breeding programs. So that's exactly what we're going to start doing hands-on tomorrow, where you guys are going to pick your different penguin pairs and see how genetically diverse you guys can actually get them. Of course, let's talk about this whole idea of mean kinship. This is by far the most effective method that zoos, aquariums, and different associations across the globe use. So again, we've talked a little bit about the database and how we use that to determine or keep track of species. We talk about relatedness, and now we're going to talk about how those NK values are used in breeding decisions. So starting off with, kind of talks about this whole idea of how mean kinship is used, and it is probably the most effective method across associations, just because we can easily keep track of numbers, looking at quantitative data. Looking at all that quantitative data in the form of that MK value. So what I want you guys to do really quick, answer these 2 questions for me. So what situations can occur in the populations that may cause an MK number to change yearly? And why would it be beneficial for captive management programs to suggest breeding programs based on MK numbers? So take a couple minutes, answer those 2 questions, and then we'll jump into the next couple slides.
2. There's like 18.
Yeah, how long we thought?
Why? Oh, your favorite, bro.
Just curious. I don't need 2 seconds.
Hey, I got it. Everyone go. You are really cool.
How was your day?
Tired, huh? You could sleep in.
Today?
You didn't sleep in. Really? I
Yeah,
mean,
Brady, it should be already on smooth.
I just told them.
I played a song last night, but I didn't know this was
I
going.
heard 11.
Okay, I woke up like
Imagine having a birthday.
10:30 and I just kept
No, we're throwing a birthday party for you.
All right. So once you guys have answered those questions, go ahead and go to that. Go to slide 19. So now that you've seen firsthand by looking at Ralph and Janice and their pedigree and their MK value, so now think about what zoos can do better about minimizing that MK value to as close to zero. What?
I'm alongside you. It's just common only. I already did that.
Give it a smack.
So we
I only have one.
Yeah, look, come on, you can hop over me. Let's go.
request
There are.
Wait, do we answer this question right now, Mr. Miller?
correct.
Which one is the cat?
Go to slide 18.
So you guys will begin to notice as you guys are answering these questions, a lot of them just continue to build and build and build on top of each other. And that's kind of the premise that I want you guys to see. So basically, what you guys are getting out of this is that, again, the lower that MK value is, the more genetically diverse my populations are, the more likelihood that I don't have to worry about those economic and scientific factors that play a key role in my captive populations. Again, the lower the number, more genetically diverse I am. All right, so now let's take a look at the next slide, slide 20. So on this slide, we have our Humboldt penguin pedigree, just like based off all the data that we've been looking at. So this first question states, which of the grandchildren would be most likely chosen to breed for that year? So if I'm looking at just the grandchildren in particularly, so what you guys need to look for, so look to see if there's any sort of inbreeding going on. And if there is, are we going to want to use that individual? Yes or no? No, we don't want to use that individual if there is. And the next thing you guys want to look for, which one stands off to its own? Which one looks the most different in that pedigree just by looking at it? Or in other words, which one has no relation to all the other grandchildren?
No, one in the middle. There's 5, so it'd be the third one, right? On the top. We're going left to right.
Take a closer look at that.
Wait, the one that has doe?
That has no relation to any other, because again, we want the most genetically diverse individual to breed with a different partner.
They all have a relationship.
Could be D, could be D.
I guess it's a low count.
Could be D, because D is kind of up in its own pedigree right here, whereas C has some sort of relation to A and B, and
Oh, I think
obviously
you
A
meant
and B,
which
C.
penguin individually.
What?
I think you meant which penguin individually.
Yeah, so it would be penguin D.
That's a low
If we're looking at grandchildren.
Oh.
So that would be your answer for that first question. The next one, how does the MK number of this individual compare to the rest of them? So it's again,
It's
is
the
it higher or
lowest.
lower?
It's the lower.
So it's lower. So it has the lowest MK value compared to the rest of my grandchildren. That's what you put for that next one. Now, if you guys jump to slide 21 after you answer those two questions, all we're essentially doing is that in that first question, we're going to explain how that MK value and how this penguin D is so genetically different compared to A, B, and C, just based off of the branching and how each one is related to the next. So write in a response for that first question for that. And then in the last figure, it states, why does penguin B have a higher MK number than penguin A? See if you guys can figure that out. So start off by answering that first question, take a second to answer that second one, and then we'll talk about it really quick and see if you guys can figure it out. So again, you gotta really analyze that pedigree to see if you can figure it out. Oh, that is the graph. It is. So it's really just showing you like, kind of like how you would in a normal table chart.
This
While
is
looking
how it's
at
included.
how penguin one made it with penguin two, it's gonna show me their specific MK value. But then as you look over into their children, it should either increase or decrease, but in most cases it's gonna increase. Because of that small population.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so now I'm looking at this figure, why does penguin B have a higher MK value than penguin A? What do you guys think? What do you see here?
Because penguin A, it's got the direct one coming down off the first one, yeah.
Right, and then what happens in this second, in this second generation? Right in here,
The two babies from the first two breed to make that one.
so they're inbred.
Yeah.
Right, so that's essentially why penguin B has a higher MK value than penguin A. So if you guys look, this long line represents that this founder penguin came down here and bred, ironically, with one of his children, to then have penguin A. Whereas these two, founder one and founder two, bred children, founder one and founder two, have penguin B. So again, the weird concept to remember about penguins and a lot of different bird species is that first inbred generation is in almost all cases going to be quote unquote normal. But then as you continue to kind of follow that same trend more and more, that's when you're going to start seeing problems.
Why birds carry so many diseases?
Not necessarily.
Why do they carry so many diseases?
They're just more susceptible to avian flu is a big one right now. Gout's a big one always.
Is avian flu the one that the penguins have that you were talking about the other day? Or that the penguins are getting right now?
Well, I don't know if they have one. I'm just making an assumption. But
Isn't there a big one going around with the penguins there?
well, it's avian flu.
Oh, it is.
Avian flu is affecting.
Every bird species.
Hopefully that's something we can tie in a little bit more. So now looking at this next chart. So what we are looking at is that we are looking at two different breeding pairs and their MK values of their offspring. So what I want you guys to do here is that I want you to take a closer look at how the MK values are either similar or different, or different amongst the offspring compared to parents in both situations. And then for the why does this happen portion, just give me a rough idea of why you think that might happen. And if it even helps you guys even further, we are talking about the parents of penguin D and the parents of penguin C. So if you guys go back to your previous slide, we're looking at this specific branch here, and then this specific branch right here. Just to get a better understanding of that.
Wait, say that again?
So these two, so the first one
Yeah.
is looking at the parents of penguin D,
Uh-huh.
whereas the second one is looking at the parents of penguin C.
Okay. second part where you say breeding two penguins with different NK values will result in the NK value of the offspring being and how they work. Are you saying that one has high and one has low NK values?
Can you repeat that?
On the second part of slide 22 where it says breeding two penguins with different NK values will result in the NK value of the offspring being low. Will one of the parents have high and one parent have low NK?
Because if you think about it, it's almost
I
like
remember exactly, and it was like a picture of like orange, she was like, and I was like, ew.
so to kind of give you guys a better idea of how the MK values work, so in particular, if we're looking at the second one, so just think of how you calculate averages almost. It's but I want you guys to understand though that that's not the actual equation that's used to figure out MK values. So if you guys notice, this guy has a higher MK value than this one, so that means my offspring should be getting be lower and lower, but obviously it's that those numbers are higher or relatively similar, and my offspring is going to have a very similar NK value. What questions do you guys have on this point? Do you have any questions? So again, really big main concept is the lower the NK value that we have, the better off we are. Okay. So now, rest of the class, what I want you guys to do, because we're just about done with this, is I want you to analyze these last 3 slides for me. So again, all it's doing is that we are taking that same main pedigree chart and we're gonna break it down. But really quick before you guys do that.
23, 24, and 25.
Correct. But really quick before you guys do that though, if you guys are looking at slide 24, you guys are gonna see this chart. So all this essentially shows is if you guys are looking at your pedigree, the one that has penguin A, B, C, and D on it. So if in particular, if I'm looking at those founder penguins, the ones that are at the very top of my pedigrees. So in that pedigree, it shows that penguin founder 1 mates with penguin founder 2. And it shows at this given particular point in time, they have an NK value of 0. But then they go and produce penguins 11 and 12. So the NK value begins to increase to this point of 0.25. And then they go and produce the next individuals to where their overall NK value for that specific population is 0.25. 0.125. So really, main premise, you guys really just need to focus on these MK results over here. That's going to be the key thing to really take a look at.
Is this the homework that you're talking about?
So now really quick for homework, what I want you guys to do after you finish this up is there is this link in Schoology titled Flipgrid homework. So once you guys go to this, it's going to ask you to sign in with your school Google account. So go ahead and just do that because it's going to link over, and then you will click on add response. And what I want you guys to do is to record a response answering the following question: how can kinship be used by zookeepers across the country to keep biodiversity high? So everything that we've been talking about this week and last week, tie that all together in a response that's no more than 2 minutes, because you guys are going to have a two minute time frame to kind of work with there. So if you don't want to have the camera on, you don't have to. But if anything, I want to hear you talking.
Oh, wait, the talk. This is the one where you have to talk. Yes or no?
No.
Talking is the same thing as typing.
No, it's not.
Still comes from my brain.
It's a different way.
No camera, right?
I would like the camera.
No. You
But
said no camera. You said
I would like it, but if you don't, then that's fine.
So do we do this now or later?
No, do it later. Because it's going to start at 1:01, so you start doing it all at once. Okay, so right now, again, start finishing up those last 3 slides. I'll go around and see if you guys have any questions, and then do this for homework.
So you do this all right?
Huh?
This is what the.
This part's not the group. What do you mean? What do you mean by the group?
Isn't that what the homework is?
This? No, this is all your own self-reflection. Yeah. So just to clarify, this question is all on your own self-reflection.
What?
Okay. So if you're looking at this, so like say,
But not at the virus. And it's actually-
okay. So if you're looking at this, so it would be like found one. So founder one, we know he meets with.
You're still texting her. What the fuck is your issue?
Oh, I had that.
Why?
I too, I pull off.
Oh, so you know.
Them guys rapping.
So does that make more sense? So, individual one meets with individual. They have an intake plan. And then all you're gonna do is from there, we're into the choice, second iteration. We'll see if they made it at all, or so no. So, we're gonna say it's now we're gonna look at 12 and 13. 12, 13, 25. Really just focus on this. So all in all, just focus on. So, 12.
Because it doesn't have eyes.
No, I typed it. What? Yeah.
What's the main idea from today? What are we talking about? Okay.
I just remember
Do we want to higher or lower in Q?
Lower.
You know why? You want to look at that?
Nope.
Last chance.
Why do you want?
Briggs teaching.
Okay. Are you talking? Say it again. No, you won't.
Okay. So when I tell you is the lowest.
Go.
Empty value is close.
Okay, so you want low.
No, that's where you're supposed to do it. Not very good. Raise your hand. Oh, right.
He is the teacher in this situation.
What's up?
He's such a funny teacher.
I don't know. That was like, when you straight into my face, he's just like,
So yeah, it's cool.
Alright, guys, so keep in mind that everything in this Google slide set should be technically done by this point in time, after you finish those last couple of slides. Everything in this slide set should be done after you finish those last couple of slides. I'm gonna go in and put a grade into this.
What does it do?
And then same thing with your flip grid responses due tonight.
Bro.
And don't forget, we have all our penguin skulls and eggs and penguin rocks. So if you guys want to take a closer look at all that stuff, all that's out. And we even have predators penguins up here too. Okay, so then tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is we're going to get into big groups to see how, again, we can act as those species survival plans you guys read about yesterday to figure out who's going to breed with them.
Hey, no, I know why I didn't put you in the door.
Why?
Because it's the less chance of them.
I knew if I
That's all I